Right over Payton's shoulder. I mean, when I turn and I look at that graphic, the size of Milton, I can't think of the last time I've seen a graphic of a hurricane that was that encompassing.
Yeah, we are really holding out hope that things turn out okay, but it is a rough looking storm.
And the storm is actually getting larger. Its wind field then takes over and becomes more expansive as we're now less than 24 hours out from landfall. Hurricane Milton, a powerhouse Category 5 storm this morning as of the latest advisory that came in from the National Hurricane Center at 5 a.m. We've got maximum sustained winds at 160 miles per hour. And as I set the scope here for you, add some perspective, we're about 236 miles southeast of the Gulf Coast of Florida. So this thing is continuing to progress to the northeast at about 14 miles per hour. This Category 5 storm looks to downgrade ever so slightly to that major Category 4 status as we approach early this afternoon, but it makes a run at the Tampa Bay area around Sarasota as we approach late tonight into very early tomorrow morning, perhaps around 2 a.m. The impacts here, we're talking about a lot of rainfall, 6 to 12 inches of wet weather coming down, and then you talk about a record potential storm surge here of 10 to 15 feet around the Tampa Bay area. That's record setting, and beyond that, the wind field continues to be expansive. You're going to see wind impacts from Fort Myers all the way to Jacksonville and through the eastern side of Florida's peninsula. A lot to talk about on the weather front. Things are busy, not here locally necessarily, but down in the tropics. They continue to just gain momentum in the fuel with Hurricane Milton. You can see the hurricane hunters currently investigating this storm. It brings us the latest data, and that's going to help the National Hurricane Center put out that 5 a.m. advisory. So we're still functioning off the data from 2 a.m. with maximum sustained winds at 160 miles per hour. That is Category 5 strength here, and that was something that was reborn yesterday afternoon and evening as this thing just blossomed yet again with a an eye wall replacement cycle. We've got gusts up to 200 miles per hour, and this still has its eyes set at the Tampa Bay area as we go closer to late tonight through the overnight hours into very early tomorrow as a major Category 4 storm here. It's not only the fact that this crosses the area as a major hurricane through central Florida, but it brings impacts of about a foot of wet weather. That's just rainfall. And then you talk about a 10 to 15 foot storm surge around the Sarasota area, just south of Tampa, all the way impacting areas like Fort Myers. This then sets its eyes back out to sea as a remnant low through the Atlantic. And the reason it's not impacting the Delaware Valley at all is because of a series of fronts. And that front plays into a huge impact of what this storm does to central Florida. But again, these winds, hurricane force winds through central Florida, and they are bracing for impacts today, that one final day of preparation